Coming up on today's episode, how much bandwidth do you need for HD? Cooling off your home theater gear, Iron Man Part 2, fix audio sync problems, and of course the Blu-ray releases for the week of July 20th, 2010. This is HD Nation.
HD Nation.
Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace.com. GameFly. Go to gamefly.com/HDNation to get a free trial account. And Netflix. Go to netflix.com/HDNation for your free trial membership.
Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Herron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. Blu-ray, online, satellite, cable, over the air. If it is in HD, we like it.
Yeah.
Weird news at YouTube this week.
I think it's good news.
I agree, but it's weird. Ben writes in, I notice YouTube now supports 4K content. The high compression does sort of defeat the purpose, but how long do you think it'll be before 4K screens hit the market? Is 4K Nation a possibility in the near future? Oh,
well,
boy.
I know. We know some of you out there have red cameras. Some. How many people are walking around with a red camera?
3 or 4.
Or something else that can shoot 4K video. That's a lot of pixels per second. And you've been dying to share the results of your video excess? Enter YouTube's new support for 4K video. 4096 by 2304 pixels. 4 times the resolution of 1080p, which most folks don't have the monitor or bandwidth to enjoy natively.
Yeah.
It's an interesting move, no doubt.
What do you think you're doing this is this a proof of concept for them being like, oh, 1080p, we can do 1080p. Matter of fact, we can do 4K. We can do anything you throw at us, Hollywood or television industry.
Secure digital distribution to real cinema houses.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're eyeballing, to be honest with you.
That's an interesting thought.
You could put a lot of content on there cheaply, stream it right to the movie theater, who are currently using 4K projectors in some places. So that's one actual use.
That's a really interesting thought.
I'm just wondering what kind of interface are you going to need to get that resolution to a monitor? I have multiple DVI connectors, they'll come up with something, but that's a current issue for trying to get that in your home.
I mean, here's the thing, like, is 4K Nation a possibility in the future? Maybe in the very, very distant future. You can buy a 4K monitor today, but they're built for companies that can drop like 60 grand on a single monitor. Think crazed large vehicles doing oil exploration in like northern Canada or the middle of some desert somewhere. People that are doing insane medical monitors actually.
Need a really good picture of that MRI scan. Let's put it on a good monitor.
Yeah, so you can buy a 4K screen. It's just going to cost you 50 or 60 grand. And I don't even know where you go for a graphics card to feed a 4K monitor. Maybe a 4K monitor for 60 grand. Maybe they give you
custom
a
hardware.
PCI Express card.
Hey, you know what? Actually, I want to say some of the new multi-output video cards that are used on PCs nowadays. You can get pretty close to that resolution, if not exceeding it. I gotta go look that up.
This is a long way of us saying this is all a high. 4K is cool,
but it's a tech demo.
That's the phrase.
That's all it is. And you know what? It's a cool tech demo. And I was streaming the content. Granted, it's 4K resolution. It's being scaled to my monitor, which is nowhere near 4K. But my bandwidth at home was good enough to stream it smoothly, and it looks beautiful for those 1 to 2 minute clips that you'll find on the if you go to search around for them.
Yeah, go to YouTube. There's actually a 4K resolution channel. I particularly like the Surf NYC and Birth of a Violin videos. There's what you might call a dearth of content. There's not a lot of video up there.
No. Somewhat more practical, if potentially an epic time sucker, is YouTube's Leanback. First revealed back in May, some sites are calling Leanback a preview for Google TV. YouTube's blog says it's, quote, all about letting you sit back, relax, and be entertained. Videos tailored to your interests play as soon as you visit the site, and they play in full screen and high definition continuously, provided you have the bandwidth and the video and all of that set up right. But
they spend like 40,000 words on YouTube's blog entry basically saying, go to youtube.com/leanback, hit the button, video will play. Until you fall asleep or time ends or we run out of electricity. It's basically a feed of videos based on your settings, your preferences. It can display videos your friends are sharing on Facebook if you link your Facebook and your YouTube accounts. And you use the right arrow to skip a video.
4 arrows control just about everything.
Why? Where's that remote control?
Easy as can be, yes.
Yeah.
Your Lenovo remote?
Yes, YouTube. The other thing YouTube is adamant about is basically Leanback not needing a mouse. This is a traditional remote control interface. It is a lean. It's kind of funny because like Leanback is the big phrase in what we do, right? Distributing video on the internet. The whole transition has been like from a lean forward using a computer to watch video to a lean back environment. So it's really funny that YouTube has co-opted the Leanback name.
I just like the quality and the minimalist interface.
Yeah,
it really just. I watched more videos and saved 10 minutes looking at that interface on the Leanback portion of the YouTube site than I do usually using YouTube normally.
And more videos is more ads, and more ads is more revenue.
Yes.
And the couldn't see it in theaters, can't wait for the Blu-ray department. Iron Man 2 goes on sale September 28th. 3 discs, a ton of extras, and a digital copy, and a 5.1 DTS HDMA soundtrack, which I bring up because I'm actually shopping for a new receiver for my new apartment, which we should probably not even get into.
Yummy. Hardware.
5.1 or 7.1?
Get 7.1. You can always do 5.1 and upgrade later.
Is 7.1 worth paying 30% more for a receiver?
No.
The exact same receiver, except it's got 2 extra channels.
I have a feeling there aren't many just standalone 5.1. I bet you most are doing 7.1.
You'd be shocked.
Or 2-room support.
You need to spend some quality time with me on the websites. Anyhow, I don't think HD movies on iTunes look nearly as good as they do on Blu-ray. It is nice to see Apple getting more reasonable with their pricing on older HD movies. And Gadget HD says there's 30 HD movies in Apple's new $10 or less HD movie section, including 310 to Yuma, American Psycho, The Doors, and what Engadget HD calls, quote, more appropriate bargain bin specimens like Midgets versus Mascots, The Midnight Meat Train, and Witless Protection.
Midnight Meat Train?
Midnight Meat Train. 2 hours watching 4 people eat beef on a train. Somehow I think it's probably a slasher flick.
Good golly. I have my Amazon search for under $10 Blu-ray movies bookmarked. I think I'll stick with that for a while.
Probably not a bad idea. Then you own your content.
Yay!
It's not locked down to a weird device that sits in the corner of your living room waiting for Steve to obsolete it.
I have no idea. In other news, we hear that Hulu Plus is out on the PS3 and only the PS3 until the end of 2010. Sorry, Xbox 360 owners. For now, it's PlayStation Plus subscribers only. All PlayStation users, not just people paying $50 a year for PlayStation Plus, will be able to get their Hulu Plus on after the preview period ends.
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, right now it's a subset of PS3 users.
Yeah, the people paying the extra for extra access to PS3 get to be the beta testers for Hulu Plus on the PS3.
Or some subset of them can get access to the Hulu. Anyhow, Hulu Plus is in preview.
It is coming to everyone, though,
that would
by the end of the year. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. As it should be.
We hope.
Okay.
It's the end of the year is a long way away.
It is.
Things change.
Yes.
Exclusivity agreements get signed.
5 months. Get it on.
We got to thank one of our sponsors, GameFly.com. We're talking about the largest online video game rental service out there. Something like 7,000 plus new and classic titles across pretty much any console or handheld you probably still have running, except for you guys out there with the really old Ataris. I don't want to talk about it. Plans start at $16 a month. The GameFly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. No late fees, no due dates. Shipping to and from your house is always free. Think about it. Getting all the games you want, never leaving your house. When you're done playing a game, send it back. GameFly is going to fire out the next available game on your list. You really like a game? You can keep it. Just click Keep It on the GameFly website. The game is yours at a discounted price. GameFly is even going to mail you the case and manuals free of charge. Now, here's the best part. We get a deal for you, a bargain, a 2-week free trial if you go to gamefly.com/HDNation and sign up. Some restrictions do apply. See the site for details, and please support HD Nation by supporting our sponsors like gamefly.com. Eric writes in, as another 4 eyes, I hope you cover using 3D glasses and wearing glasses. I can't do without mine, so taking them off is not an option. Can you use the 3D glasses with your prescription glasses? Tell me, please. I enjoy the show. Thanks, Eric B. in San Francisco. So, Mr. Heron, you are the resident wearer of glasses. Were you able to use the 3D glasses?
No problem at all. Short story. These fit really well. They come with, these are the Panasonic 3D glasses that we were showing off with the 3D TV we had last week.
The VT25.
And we'll be finishing up that review next week. These have changeable nose plates. The little nose piece here actually comes off, and you can use it without it or with 2 others. And if you find the right one that fits, they just go right on over your glasses, and I have no problem.
I like the chin strap.
Yeah. Chin strap over. But anyway, I've had no problems. They're not touching my frames, I don't believe, anywhere. They just barely miss it, except for maybe on the corners back here where I really don't care about. But they're not. It's not interfering with my lenses.
You were in here testing. I saw you wearing them for like 2 or 3 hours the other day, and you had the little neck strap on. You put them on. You pulled them off. You were happy.
I was mocking the neck strap. Now I see a true use for it, because when you walk away from the TV for a minute, it's nice just to let them hang around your neck. And
you don't want to walk to the fridge with the dark lenses on.
No, but no problem at all. And I've tried a few different manufacturers' 3D glasses, Samsung's, Panasonic's obviously, and as well as Sony's, and I've had no problems putting it over my glasses. And I have a fairly large head with fairly large glasses, so it's not like I'm a edge case, I think, in this. I guess if I had giant super frame like Lady Gaga glasses or something, it might be a problem there. But I think everyone's got a pair that'll fit.
I'm sure Lady Gaga has a smaller pair of glasses somewhere.
Of course, if you're wearing contacts too, there's going to be no problem at all.
And we should also point out, you cannot swap if you particularly like, the Samsung glasses over the Panasonic, or the Panasonic over the Vizio, or the Vizio over the Samsung. You can't, in most cases, actually swap the glasses between different brands of television, right?
No, I would assume at this point I would say that is unlikely to ever happen, because of the glasses are finely tuned specific to the display technology, including some of the quirks of the display itself. So, and everyone's doing something a little bit different as far as their 3D technology and the glass technology that they're using. So being able to buy, say, Panasonic's glasses and using them on Samsung's TV, it might actually work, but the effect is going to screw up how the picture looks overall. But there's a chance it could work, but as far as the function of the glasses go, but in terms of visual quality, you could very well just hose it. So don't expect it to cross-pollinate nicely.
What you can't expect are the new Blu-ray releases for the week of July 20th, 2010. Mr. Heron?
First up, Cop Out. Rock Out with Your Glock Out edition. Kevin Smith's first attempt at directing a film he didn't write. This buddy cop flick stars Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. It got better reviews from the common folk than it did from professional critics, and Kevin Smith himself describes it like Dante and Randall from The Clerks as cops. It's released with a 1080p VC1 codec and includes over 40 minutes of deleted scenes and outtakes, picture-in-picture commentary by Kevin Smith and Sean William Scott, and factoids and trivia about making the movie and the buddy cop films that inspired it. Next up, The Runaways. It tells the story of the all-girl rock band of the same name, featuring Joan Jett, played by Twilight's Kristen Stewart. Our producer Roger enjoyed the film and says that Kristen Stewart's numb style of acting really works in this movie. It also stars Dakota Fanning as lead singer Cherie Curry, whose memoirs the film was based on. Extras on this disc include a featurette on The Runaways, as well as a short behind-the-scenes making of the film. Also released this week, Being Human Season 1. It's a BBC series featuring 3 roommates trying to live a normal life in England despite being a vampire, a ghost, and a werewolf. Without most of the horror and gore that usually comes with depictions of these supernatural creatures, Being Human takes a very day-to-day approach as it follows these unusual characters as they deal with the everyday implications of who they are. The Sci-Fi Channel here in the US is currently producing an American remake of the series, so if you want to see the award-winning original series, check out Season 1 of Being Human on Blu-ray today. Other releases this week include the Criterion Collection's Black Narcissus, Cats and Dogs, Evil Aliens, Forbidden World, A Galaxy of Terror, Just Another Day, The Losers, Mother, the Criterion Collection's The Red Shoes, Tin Man, and the UFC presents Aldo vs. Faber. Time to thank one of our sponsors, Netflix. With more than 12 million members, Netflix is the world's largest subscription service, streaming movies and TV episodes over the internet and sending DVDs by mail. This week, my Netflix queue reminds me that I will be enjoying some Marvel Comics action in the form of the 2009 prequel, X-Men Origins Wolverine, in glorious 1080p Blu-ray quality. For $8.99 a month, Netflix members can instantly watch unlimited TV episodes and movies streamed to their TVs and computers, and can receive unlimited DVDs delivered quickly to your home. Blu-ray plans start at just $5.99 a month. With Netflix, there are never any due dates or late fees. Members can select from a growing library of titles that can be watched instantly, and a vast array of titles on DVD. Among the large and expanding base of devices that can stream movies and TV episodes from Netflix right to members' TVs are the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Wii. Find movies you love easily. You can browse, search, or see Netflix's recommendations for you. They even have a special back-of-box feature that lets you get the details of any movie instantly. As a new member and HD Nation viewer, you can get a free trial membership. Go to www.netflix.com/HDNation and sign up now. Be sure to use this URL so that they know we sent you. Person named Ross has a question about HD streaming. He writes, how much bandwidth do I need to get HD content from sites like Netflix and Hulu? Second, what's the best way to get an accurate measurement of my bandwidth? I tried Speakeasy, but I was getting wildly diverse responses depending upon the server I chose. The Seattle server, which is closest, was under 1.5 megabits, while Chicago was 30 megabits. What's up with that? Signed, Ross from Olympia, Washington.
Oh boy. Can we do this one backwards?
Sure.
Here's the thing, right? One of the reasons why, I'd probably say for testing I usually use speedtest.net.
Yeah.
That's kind of the generic standard. The thing is, though, I've had situations where I got a ridiculous speed, like 30 megabytes per second, because I had access to a super high-end line, but could only transfer files at 100 kilobits per second, which is a tiny fraction of the actual bandwidth I had. That's because when you're on the internet, you go from your computer to your ISP to a backbone to another ISP to the server you're getting stuff from at the other end of the internet. And if there's one little issue in the routing tables in between there, or a server's having a bad day, in theory, right, the internet is going to work around blockages, but in reality, they usually hardwire the router tables or the routing tables, so you can end up with situations like Chicago getting you 30 megabits per second while your local server giving you 2 or 3 megabits per second. It's just the internet is complicated and weird and doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. That said,
problem I run into with Speedtest in particular, which I love the site, but it always provides an inaccurate true measurement of my bandwidth. It always shows it in the best possible case, which is the burst technology that my cable company provides. They can burst up to, say, 20 megabit, but a sustained transfer is usually limited to about 12 megabit. So in a sense, I'm getting a reading from the website, but it's not truly indicative of what I could actually stream consistently. In my opinion, if Speedtest would, I think Comcast is honestly just optimized their system to do really well on speed test.
I think everybody's probably optimized their system to do really well on speed tests.
Yet, if they did a longer test, I think it would reflect that more. Like when I do long downloads, say I'm downloading content from a website and it's a multi-gig file, eventually it ticks back to about 12 megabit. It bursted up to 20, burst up to 20, bursted. Anyway, and I just want to say that's my rant on speed tests in general. Try a bunch of them. Give you an idea what's going on. Now, as far as the streaming providers, Netflix recommends in their fact that they suggest at least a 1.5 megabit connection for SD content. And they recommend a 3 megabit connection for DVD quality audio and video. Now for Hulu, the company's fact states, quote, 1,000 kbps or 1 megabit for the smoothest playback experience or greater. Now some of Hulu's 480p streams that are using H.264 have bit rates of 1 megabit or 1,000 kbps, and they recommend 1.5 megabit for smooth playback. Now Hulu's 720p video clips are encoded at 2,500 kbps or about 2.5 megabit, and they recommend a download speed of about 3.5 megabit for that. So they're suggesting that no matter what your connection is, you have a good, say, 50% more in order to deal with potential, ups and downs in the connection stream and things like that, in order to have a smooth viewing experience.
Yeah, I mean, basically all the bandwidth you can get, and then you hope there's a decent local connection between you and the server.
And hope somebody in the household isn't downloading like mad, or sitting on your internet connection. All the other things that can possibly go wrong.
Basically, though, 720p you need, in terms of live streaming or streaming from their server, probably 3.5 megabits.
Yeah.
Or 3,500 kilobits per second.
If you're right on the line, that's where you can run into problems, where it's pausing, buffering. Annoying.
Suddenly, my expensive service suddenly almost seemed worthwhile.
That inexpensive 3 megabit DSL connection suddenly starts making you just grit your teeth going, dang it, I need something a little bit faster. Because it might not be 3 megabit all the time.
ADSL Plus, though, is amazing. We should talk about that later. At Mitch K wrote in to me, any recommendations for cooling an AVR? It's an AV receiver. My HK AVR 254 is getting really warm in its enclosed space. Okay, the key phrase here is enclosed space. The smarter home theater hutch console furniture makers actually think about ventilation these days, right? 'Cause people have been selling these like, it's a media console, it's spouse friendly, it's beautiful, it matches the rest of the furniture, and it's a big box with no ventilation holes in a lot of cases. In the last few years, people who make this stuff are actually drilling holes. It's kind of like traveling with your hamster. You want holes in the hamster ball or the hamster suffocates. Same for your TV. A good example of this, standoutdesigns.com, which at BNWinSF tweeted off to me. They actually have optional fan kits you can stuff into the big open space in the back of their media furniture. You notice that big open space on the back is at the top, and it's big and open because heat rises and will kind of find its own level, which is higher up in the room. Easier to vent, it should say it's easier to vent furniture than it is to vent, say, a media closet. So if all your stuff is in a closet down the hallway, that makes it awesome because then you have the beautiful monitor and nothing clouding it, maybe a little IR remote underneath it. But then you've got to actually figure out how to ventilate your closet, which is more than we can get into on the show right now. If it's basically a cabinet, pull the cabinet away from the wall and start drilling like vent holes in the back of it like you're trying to take a cat to the vet in a box.
Yeah, totally. I think you could probably use even one of those door hole drillers for making, like, you're going to put a new lock on a door or something. And one of those, so just put a decent sized hole, you could probably do it. There's probably a lot of do-it-yourself guides out there in terms of just getting a fan mounted and wiring it up and just getting some airflow through it. And it's the sealed compartments that really just kill things quickly.
Yeah, basically anything that lets the heat vent out. Also large, slow-moving PC fans. Anything that's like a quiet PC fan. The larger and slower spinning they are, the quieter they are. They're basically look for stuff designed for quiet systems are a great way to basically get heat out of there. If passive cooling means there's no fans, active cooling means there's fans or something else. Or at the very least, whenever you're using your home theater, crack a door, little layer in there.
Do it.
Hey, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Squarespace.com. You want a website? Check out Squarespace.com. It's built around this super flexible, painless tool that lets just about anybody build a website with no coding experience. That's a big deal, because I can't code my way out of a paper bag anymore. But Squarespace, if you can drag and move things around, you can build a high-end, complex website that offers the same features as some of the most heavily trafficked pages on the web. And their servers, they can scale if you get a big old traffic hit. That's cool, because they're going to take care of you, because you're probably off doing things that don't involve you sitting around waiting for your website to explode. If you already have a website on another service, well, check out Squarespace's Site Importer tool. It makes it so easy to move things over to Squarespace.com. And you know what else is easy? Getting a discount. Use the promo code HDNation when you place your order. Basically, you get like 2 weeks to experiment, then they ask you to start paying for the service. When you do, type in HDNation when you place your order. You're going to score a fat discount for the life of the service. Check it out, people. Squarespace.com. And do us a favor and tell them that HDNation sent you.
Hey, Brian had a question about upscalers. He writes, I play a lot of older SD music games, standard def music games, that need to be synced perfectly. I've been looking into getting the DVDO Edge to solve this issue, but at $500 it's not very cheap. Looking further, I found the Denon AVR 890/2310 for a mere $25 more than the Edge. It also has the ABT 2010 video processing chip. Tasty. This seems to provide a much better value for my money, but I'm worried I'd be missing out on features that the Edge has. I already have a capable Onkyo receiver, so while this would be an upgrade, it's certainly not completely necessary that I get a new receiver. All I need right now is something that will process my SD video sources, but I don't want to pass up getting a better receiver if it's going to do everything the DVDO Edge does, plus more. Signed, Brian in Orlando, Florida. Here we go. Your audio and your video are not in sync.
Okay. Console to the AV receiver to the HDTV. This is, of course, assuming you actually have your AV receiver doing all of your switching between your different devices. Basically, though, if you go from the console to the AV receiver to the HDTV, start by checking out the TV's video mode. If there's a game picture preset available, try it and see if the AV sync improves. Get your audio and video working. If the TV doesn't have a game mode, try setting it to the default picture preset and then start playing around with your receiver. Make sure it's using a standard sound mode. I would basically start with stereo, period, no matter what's coming out of the console. See if that works and start playing around with any Dolby or DTS options.
Yeah, basically, you want to eliminate the chance that you might have it in some other freaky mode, like bathroom mode, that makes it sound like you're in a tiled room or something that could be adding
Concert
additional
hall
delay, or something that could possibly be causing the sync issue to occur. Eliminate it from the TV, then check the settings on the AVR. Then, basically, with newer AVRs, though,
see if it actually offers an audio delay function that you can actually use to manually correct the sync issue between the video coming from the console and the audio.
Yeah.
And you also probably, if it's a newer AVR, should see if there's a firmware update for your receiver.
It might be a problem with the AVR itself, so that's one thing. Also, be aware that some music games provide an integrated audio calibration feature that can be used to correct the sync issues. Games like Rock Band and Guitar Hero have offered this feature for quite a while now. I'm not sure if it goes all the way back to the SD versions, but it's worth looking into if you have that issue. Finally, you can use a standalone audio delay device. The good folks at Felston.com offer the DD740 digital audio delay device for $250. It's about half the price of that Edge, of course, but you would likely need an analog digital converter in order to use that with an analog audio source like your game console. And they happen to have a supply of them that they'll sell you for 30 bucks. So
here's my question. Should our gentle reader be actually looking for an excuse to buy Anchor-based DVDO Edge? Will it actually solve AV sync issues?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It has that built in for millisecond presets. I would just say check the AV receiver, because just about every AV receiver offers a function to deal with that very problem. But, of course, if the TV has a game mode, and if you plug it directly into the TV with the game mode and everything's fine, then you can kind of work backward from there.
Good to know.
Eliminate.
Eliminate. Speaking of eliminating, we have a final question from Ben, who writes in, there's something that's been bugging me. Hypothetically, couldn't a typical 240 hertz LCD television display 3D content if a firmware update was released to enable the separation of the left and right images? It seems kind of crazy that a completely new television is required for a feature that's mostly software based. The only hardware difference I can think of is being the wireless antenna for the 3D glasses. Or maybe is this something that can be done at the Blu-ray player level so you don't have to update your HDTV? Ben in Australia.
Yep.
Oh boy, where do we start?
Well, in Australia, they actually do have 200 hertz sets instead of 240, and 100 hertz instead of
See, I just sort of auto-corrected 240 for 200 hertz. Sorry about that.
For decent 3D, using today's technology, an LCD panel needs to be capable of that 200 hertz or 240 hertz refresh rate. Actual pixel refresh rates, not that hybrid 100 hertz, 120 hertz plus a scanning backlight.
So you need
tech.
a true 200, 240 hertz HDTV, step one.
Yeah, not the scanning backlight with the half-speed panel.
Right.
Anyway, marketing manufacturers love that, but it won't work. Now, on top of that, the new software that likely drives the latest 3D TVs requires more system memory and CPU power than its 2D predecessors did.
Right.
So your TV might not have the memory or the power to actually drive this new software. Also, it's just very unlikely that you're going to be able to use Company A's 3D glasses with Company B's 3D TV.
Right.
Like we mentioned before, everyone's doing something a little bit different. And realistically, what manufacturer is going to spend the resources performing what is likely to be a major hardware-software upgrade on last year's technology when they'd rather sell you the latest and greatest?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's this many 240 hertz televisions, and they'd have to basically have hardware to integrate with the television, or it's whether or not Sony and Samsung make Blu-ray players. So in theory, Sony and Samsung Blu-ray players could offer the ability to control the glasses and route the signal to the HDTV with a firmware upgrade. It's just. Yeah.
It's all a big hack. Also, manufacturers are pretty keen, and they're aware that incremental updates are the way to go with televisions. They don't try to put too much into any one set. Right. So you kind of saw that as we went from 100 hertz or 120 hertz to 200, 240, and then once they got to 240 and it was good enough, then they said, what else could we add to it? And it was like, okay, for this time around, we'll add the 3D technology, and along with all the other internals and guts that go with that. So. It's
don't hold your breath.
Yeah, no.
It's to the consumer electronics manufacturer's credit, it would be a non-trivial upgrade. It would require extensive software engineering. It would require some type of hardware add-on box for the HDTV. It would be non-trivial.
Cutting into the return on investment.
It would also probably, I would almost guess, like, you're probably talking a significant percentage of a new HDTV to put this stuff together, even in a Blu-ray player.
Most likely.
Sorry. No. And you know what? This whole 3D TV thing might have blown itself over by Christmas, so don't sweat it, dude. Hey, don't forget, Revision 3 has an official iPhone app now. You can watch all your favorite Revision 3 shows no matter where you are. Okay, they're not in HD, but if you're in the checkout line, you're walking down the street, you're in the doctor's waiting room, you can fire up every single Revision 3 show in the palm of your hand for absolutely nothing. It's free, people. Find it in the iTunes Store. Go to revision3.com/iPhone and download it so you can have us everywhere you go in the palm of your hand. You can crush us. Crush us. Crush us.
Hey, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of HD Nation. As always, we want to know what you think. So send your comments, questions, or suggestions to hdnation at revision3.com. Write us.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/HDNation. And you can find links regarding pretty much everything we talked about in the show today in the show page at hdnation.tv.
Plus, you'll find all the links to subscribe to the show, so subscribe and watch. And until next time,
thanks for watching. I'm Patrick Dorton.
And I'm Robert Heron. We'll see you next week.